Yo, what's going on, people? What's going on? How we doing out there? What it do? Another lovely day here in the land of the beautiful and the free. All right, it's your boy here at Cool World. All right, and I'm just doing things like I always do. It's your boy Moose, and I've been researching some things, man. That got me speculating about a lot of what's going on here in the country, and essentially there's an attack and a war on your dollar. Okay. Now, this is not for everybody, but this is just for your certain type of person, okay, who's a certain degenerate who wants to take a little action when they're watching some of their favorite sports, or maybe not even their favorite sports, but just wants a little juice when there's some action going on in some sports. You feel me? Talk about sports betting. All right. Sports betting in America has cooked America. Okay. We're now at the precipice of they're talking about multiple gambling allegations and scandals that are corrupting across multiple sports professional leagues organizations. I mean, let's just take a second. Okay. How did we get to this point? All right. How did we get to this point? Okay. So, see, back in 2018, when they started legalizing the sports books all across America, okay, that was the beginning of the end of the downfall. I mean, what did they think was going to happen when they allowed so many people to have access to sports betting and these different sports booking accounts and to be able to influence the game ultimately by influencing the players playing the game? That's ultimately where we are at now. Okay, like I said, you got all these different types of medias that are complicit, and all these different type of sports casinos and books that are that are doing so much advertising to you during the actual live game. You can't literally watch a live football game or a full basketball game without being bombarded with DraftKings ads or ads from Stake, okay, or ESPN Bet, okay, or one of these the different or Caesar Sportsbook Casino, it's just or MGM. It's like it's just there's so many now. We got to the point where there's so much access to everyone in their little phone. Everyone could just gamble and get some juice on some action on their phone nowadays. So it's too accessible, okay? And that's where we're at now. We were just talking about rampant corruption, okay? I am a big fan of the UFC. I've been watching the UFC since I was in high school. I did wrestling in high school, and then we would go to the other teammates' house and watch the pay-per-views, man. I've been in this game for a long time. But I only recently started betting on MMA as of, I don't know, within the past few years. It's not something I take seriously. I just kind of throw a little wager here and there. But that's besides the point. We're now at the point where the FBI is starting to conduct investigations into the NBA because they're now getting signs and they're looking to allegations of players, trying to meet their props or trying not to make sure that they meet their prop bets, so that way some other benefactor can make some money off betting off them not to hit the bet, that the betting that they won't. So everything's cooked now. All the sports books are cooked. And now, like I was just talking about the UFC, comes out over the past weekend that there was a allegation of a fixed fight. Okay. Allegations. Really, it's turned into not just allegations, it's turned into damn near 100% proof that this happened. Okay. I mean, they let the guy go that was the involved party who they thought was fixing the fight literally the next day, not even 24 hours after. So, and then you had the sports books offering to give people their money back. Like, we're in a messed up time, man. And I just thought I'd bring this up because one of my favorite YouTube creators, content creators, CoffeeZilla, just did a video about sports betting in America and kind of how it's gotten to the point where we are cooked if people don't get a handle on this kind of thing, man. Seriously. And now they're rigging the bets so you can't even win. But yeah, let me show you this little clip right here. This is just a screenshot essentially of what we're talking about. Now, this is Uncle Weezy, one of my favorite MMA analysts, or at least capos, or bettors, I should say, but cappers. He likes to cap the MMA and tries to make money off it. Okay, he tweeted, here we go again. You can see the line movement move significantly. Okay, the guy was a significant favorite. He jumped to being a significant, or not a significant underdog, but a much more even favorite. And that only ever happens if you're getting big money put on some name during the fights or the event, whatever the case may be. So I bring this up to kind of transition and segue into this video I want to show you about that CoffeeZilla just did a couple of days ago. Again, like I said, he's one of my favorite creators. I encourage you guys to go to his channel, watch this video for yourself as well. But I just want to play a little bit of it about it because I just think it's so it's so coincidental to have it happen. He dropped the video, and then all the sports betting allegations are starting to come out now. So it's crazy, man. You got to do your due diligence and make sure you don't get got out here. All right. But yeah, let me line this video up here. Okay. Get right with you. All right. I got it. Let's go.
Gambling has changed. It used to be you'd lose your money on slots in Vegas, but today, not only can you do that, you can also bet on your favorite sports team, on the opening coin toss, on this individual pitch, or on all three in a parlay. You can do it from your phone, your tablet, your Apple Watch. You don't just have to gamble on sports, you can gamble on esports, on video game items, on slots with those items. You can do it in Roblox, or on regular stocks, on meme stocks, gamble with calls, gamble on earning calls, gamble on calls with earning calls. You can gamble on political events, world events. You can bet if Zelensky's going to wear a suit before July, if Jerome Powell is going to say inflation 50 or 60 times in September. And you don't just have to gamble on that. You can gamble on crypto coins, Trump coin, Dogecoin, Fartcoin. You can gamble on the champion of Fartcoin coin, and you can gamble on any of the posts the champion of Fartcoin has ever made on whether they will become popular or not. And if none of that's your cup of tea, you can also just gamble directly within your banking app on a game of roulette, like a gentleman. And don't even get me started on the ads. If you turn on sports, esports, podcasts, not even my favorite political show is safe.
Shout out to Prize Picks, the best app to fire on sports in the game.
You will be bombarded with gambling ads by every famous person you've ever heard of.
DraftKings.
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 DraftKings Sportsbook.
DraftKings Sportsbook.
Uh-oh. How did we get here? And is it a good thing that we're turning every spare moment of our lives into a game of chance? I'm betting no.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe? Run with it.
There are three things responsible for gambling becoming more mainstream, but the first and biggest trend is simply the mainstream becoming more like gambling. See, Silicon Valley learned a decade ago that gambling mechanics are incredibly good for user retention, so they put them everywhere. Let's say you're shopping online. Well, now you can spin a wheel to unlock prizes. Or if you're playing video games, you can open a loot box, get some randomized items. You can even use those items as virtual currency in a casino we've made a 3-part series about. Or maybe you don't have a problem with loot boxes for adults, but we've also put them in kids' video games because, got to start them young. Roblox is the largest game for minors, and they are stuffed with randomized loot boxes. But even if that's fine for you, what about the third-party websites which, against TOS, allow full gambling based on a kid's game? And yes, there are actual kids gambling on these apps.
Right, I just won a bit of profit there. I had 200 Robux. No, I had 200 Robux in profit, 100 Robux in profit, but I lost them. But I had 50 Robux and I lost it, and I thought I got 50 Robux again. So on this, mine's on Robux Revolt, what I'm gonna do is buy 40 crates now. No, not 40 crates, but like 44 crates. That looks good. Let's go. Let's go. We're in profit. Let's go.
It is absolutely disgusting to see that. And look, I spoke to an insider who worked on this website, Roblox Wild, before it got shut down. He shared data which claimed they made $5,000 a day, or roughly $2 million a year. Thankfully, this website got shut down, but third-party gambling sites still persist because copying casinos makes a ton of money. And that's why we've been putting it into everything, including our politics. Prediction markets are the answer to the question of what if we could YOLO on election results and world events. The biggest websites are Polymarket and Kalshi, which have exploded in popularity during the American election cycle. But it isn't just major events that attract bettors. I was recently asked to investigate whether this was a suit that Zelensky was wearing. Why? Well, the prediction market had bet $200 million in betting volume on this bet, and some of them were really mad that they decided, no, this is not a suit, I guess. Whether you think it is or not, the volume of betting here is insane. And one reason for that is because these companies are exploiting loopholes that allow betting even in states where normal gambling is illegal. Because these companies say they're not a casino, so they don't fall under the same rules, which is why instead of having to be 21, you can now gamble at 18 on prediction markets. And while there have been legal challenges to this, both of the major companies, Kalshi and Polymarket, have recently brought on the president's son as an advisor, making it hard to see how they're gonna be meaningfully regulated. Meanwhile, all the major betting apps are busy launching their own prediction market copycats to get around the same weak rules that we still have regarding betting. And don't even get me started on the other loopholes that are out there. Have you ever heard of the TikTok of sports wagering?
This is Cheddar. We're building the TikTok of sports wagering. Legal in 20 more states than DraftKings. Accessible for 18 to 21-year-olds. Live, in-game, micro betting. Swipe to predict every moment and every play.
I'm going to stop you right there. If you missed it, Cheddar is a new startup trying to combine DraftKings, TikTok, and Tinder features into one app. And one of the things they brag about is they're allowing 18 to 21-year-olds as a competitive edge. Guys, can you believe the untapped market of teenagers for gambling? Now, to be fair, Cheddar has not launched yet, but this is obviously the future we're heading towards, turning everything into a maximally addictive gambling product.
It's sports wagering with the pace of a slot machine.
Yeah. Isn't that the most dystopian thing you've ever heard? We're trying to turn sports betting into slot machines. I mean, the funny thing is this whole product is built around yet another loophole called a sweepstakes casino, and that's how they get around the 21-year-old age requirement. Here's how it basically works. Sweepstakes casinos claim that you don't actually need to purchase anything to play, so it's kind of not gambling. In fact, you can get free coins to access their games, but they also have a second currency which you can buy. Well, not buy, you get it for free when you buy the worthless coins. For example, their website says if you buy 100 Cheddar coins, you get 5 bonus Cheddar cash. And that's usually what you can gamble with and redeem for real money. This is actually how Stake US works. If you didn't know, Stake International is one of the world's largest casinos, but they aren't allowed here in the United States. So they have an American arm, which is a sweepstakes casino, which has gold coins and stake cash. One Redditor explains how the loophole really works. Quote, 1 stake cash is 1 USD. They only use gold coins because they need to say that you aren't gambling with real money to stay open in the US. Except, of course, you are actually gambling with real money. They just have a virtual currency workaround, which basically everyone has figured out. Some casinos are just kind of more honest about it than others. Cheddar's basically saying the quiet part out loud. They're going after 18 to 21-year-olds with TikTok, Tinder, sports betting at the pace of slots. And by the way, people are betting on their success. They're actually in a cohort of startups invested in by a Silicon Valley investment firm called A16Z. But if you think that's a bad idea, now let's talk about banks and gambling. I recently made a video on Yada, which was a fintech, which is a complicated story. We've done a ton of work on here and here. But basically, the original pitch was a no-lose lottery, which gamified savings. Lots of YouTubers worked with them, and they acted like a bank, at least at first, until they switched their new business model to be about allowing you to gamble inside the app and lose money, essentially becoming a casino within what is essentially a bank account. Now, I should actually note that Yada recently shut down the banking side and have fully focused on the sweepstakes casino part. I guess it's a more profitable business, but it's a sign of the times that everyone is moving their app more towards gambling, and finance is going the same way. On August 19, 2025, the investing app Robinhood announced they are bringing sports betting prediction markets to their app. In the announcement, the vice president of Robinhood claimed sports betting was a, quote, no-brainer, as we aim to make Robinhood a one-stop shop for all your investing and trading needs. AKA, we noticed people were leaving to other apps. We don't like that. We'd like you to never leave our app. Now, ironically, the very next day, FanDuel, a sports betting app, announced they were bringing stock market betting to their customers.
But I will ask you about what some call the gamification of markets. Why this move? Why FanDuel? Why now?
For us to have a partner like FanDuel and be able to have 14 million accounts on day one, I'm not becoming a casino, contrary to popular opinion. I didn't buy a casino. These are markets that will be offered to the general public, and we think is massively exciting what it could do.
And you couldn't have a more perfect image of how finance is embracing the casinos and vice versa. Actually, correction, you can have a more perfect image, because after I wrote this, the New York Stock Exchange's owner invested $2 billion into Polymarket. So actually, this is the perfect image of where we are. And a result is a lot of young people now see the stock market as kind of more like a betting market. The most popular group on Reddit is Personal Finance with about 21 million followers. In second place, Wall Street Bets, where gambling on the stock market is embraced and celebrated. It grew the most during the meme stock craze of 2020, which shifted how some people thought about investing. Instead of being driven by earnings, prices, or fundamentals, people gambled on memes, attention, and vibes. People are chasing bigger returns and taking on bigger risks to do so. One measure of this is the amount of debt people are taking out to invest. Margin debt is at an all-time high of $1 trillion, which even on an inflation-adjusted basis is near all-time highs and up 5x over the last few decades. Not only that, the rapid growth of zero-day options by retail traders is also a telltale sign. It's grown 5x in volume over 5 years, showing that people are trying to gamble more. Zero-day options are the stock trader equivalent of red or black at the casino. Fast action, massive wins or losses on a single day. But if the stock market is America's casino, then meme coins are basically the back alley bookie who will break your legs. Bigger price swings, faster action. Meme coins are even more degenerate than meme stocks and pump and dump usually within a single day. Among the people who trade these, Pump.fun is the leading destination as the one-click launchpad. Anyone can make a meme coin in seconds, and there is no value in it other than the expectation that someone might be more foolish than you and buy at a higher price than you did. And of course, Pump.fun is happy to take a cut and make most of the money. Most traders will lose, but now you can also get a cut if you're a content creator who pushes one of these coins. We've seen the same thing from launchpads like Meteora. They allow creators to have a split of some of the trading fees, and it kind of democratizes the grift. Now, anyone can farm their followers and fans for money. You don't have to be particularly sophisticated. And that's actually how Trump made millions of dollars in fees with Trump Meme Coin without ever selling. He just farmed the fees. And to be clear, this money doesn't magically appear. It's being siphoned away from regular people who mostly lose. It creates a sad ecosystem where most creators are racing to the bottom for attention to get their audiences to pump their worthless coins, leading to a predictable spiral where most are scamming, rage baiting, or otherwise trying to shock each other into becoming the biggest grift of the day.
Cups got drained.
Thanks for the 20 bandos.
It's ripping.
What? Welcome.
If you've ever heard of a zero-sum game where someone has to win for the other one to lose, Meme coins are negative sum because of all the trading fees. Most people, by definition, will lose. The real winner, of course, is Pump.Fun and people pushing it. According to one analysis, they've generated revenues of over $800 million for themselves, while almost none of the traders have made significant profits. According to one analysis, 0.4% of all traders will ever make over $10,000. So almost no one. And look, the reason we're going through all of this is to explain the many ways that gambling is no longer just about slots, cards, brick and mortar casinos. We've injected it into every conceivable aspect of our lives. And that has two effects. One, it's inescapable. You cannot avoid gambling by avoiding Vegas anymore. It's literally everywhere. And then two, it's also harder to understand and study because most researchers are studying like casinos, sports betting, but so much of gambling is not that anymore. So as we get to the numbers of this stuff, remember, everything's going to be an undercount. But it is still important to talk about those casinos, and that's where we're going to shift now. Starting with the biggest trend that has happened for these casinos, and number two on our reason, which is sports gambling becoming legalized. Rewind the clocks for a second back to 2018 when the Supreme Court overturned a federal ban. At the time, basically, you could only sports bet in Nevada. But after this, you can see in a few years, we completely flipped on the issue. Most states now allow sports betting. And along with that, the advertising budgets for these companies is absolutely enormous. DraftKings, FanDuel, Underdog, Prize Picks, they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting celebrities and influencers to push their product every year. And man, has it worked. As I'm writing this, the number one sports app on the App Store is not sports. It's not ESPN. ESPN and the NFL are second and third. The number one sports app is actually DraftKings. And in the top 10, half of those apps are sports betting, which is insane. There are two reasons for this. Obviously, one, hundreds of millions in advertising. But the second is what are called inducements, which is when these apps will incentivize players to download them and place a bet, sometimes literally offering what seems like free money.
It's got an NFL offer.
Don't play with me.
Just turned $5 into $150 in bonus bets.
New customers bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets if you win.
New customers get risk-free bets up to $2,000.
Now look, the reason casinos do this is kind of obvious. If they can make you play one bet, they're more likely to place the second, third, and 100th. But even setting aside the fine print of these weird offers, does it not strike anyone else as weird that we're allowing gambling companies to give away free stuff? Imagine the cigarette industry told you, buy your first pack, get 50 free packs free to get you started. Imagine Budweiser said, shotgun one, they'll send you a case for fun. It's insane. And yet, that's exactly what these sports betting apps are doing. It's the lifeblood of how they get new players. And once you're in, these apps will also cater to their biggest players, biggest losers, called VIPs. They will send them gifts as they spend their life savings. And there have been multiple lawsuits actually about this. And to make it worse, if you do the opposite and you actually win too much on these apps, they will try to limit your betting, as one investigation found.
If you show any real ability to effectively handicap a game and beat the sportsbook, they will limit your bets and essentially kick you out of the sportsbook. They will not let you win.
Can you tell me a little bit about how sportsbooks treat you once you start winning?
They don't want to accept your bets.
Yeah, it turns out the casinos actually hate the exact player that's featured in all of their advertisements, the guy who actually wins too much money, which is actually so crooked when you think about it, that if you're one of the few people who achieves what they're promoting, they actually don't want to. Now, as I was writing this story, another massive scandal actually broke in the sports betting world, which is even more corrupt than not allowing winners.
But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years.
That's right. The FBI just exposed a massive sports rigging scheme that was using these apps to win money on rigged basketball games. One example of this was March 23rd, 2023, when an NBA player, Terry Rozier, told a friend ahead of time that he was going to go out early on a foot injury. And so that night, $200,000 in bets were placed on his underperformance because no one else knew that he was injured. And a few minutes after Terry kind of limping around, he left the game and the bets paid off. A few days later, Terry Rozier and his friend allegedly counted the money at his house from the fraudulent wagering scheme. And this was one of several rigged games the FBI alleged, but the media was quick to point out this isn't even the first time someone was caught doing something like this.
Jonte Porter, who played for the Toronto Raptors, has already pled guilty He's already pled guilty. He's awaiting sentencing for doing just what Rozier and Jones are accused of. So this train has already left the station, Laura. And I have to tell you, when Jeff Teague, an NBA player, says, oh, there's betting everywhere, it is everywhere. I've done ads for DraftKings. LeBron James has done ads for DraftKings. In fact, ESPN, when they were reporting this story this morning, they're having programming, people talking just like you and me, talking about this scandal on the press conference the FBI was giving. And underneath them on the ticker was an ad for ESPN Bet, which is ESPN's own sports book.
Yeah, the irony of all of this is that the same people who condemn illegal betting going sports books, which create the opportunity. And at some point, the producers on ESPN actually noticed it. And see if you can spot the moment they try to fix the sportsbook ad in the corner.
You hear a lot about legal sports gambling on this show. The Bussin' Boys, obviously sports gambling is a huge part of what you do, so we put those all out there as a preamble because it might be in the back of people's minds, and we acknowledge that this is a different time and place. However, there is a fine line, not so fine. There is a bold line that obviously has to be drawn.
Well, that's a little awkward. You're actually supposed to remove the ad for sports betting before talking about sports rigging. And honestly, we've only hit the tip of the iceberg here because we've since learned these professional leagues are useless at catching this stuff. Turns out the NBA already investigated Terry Rozier before the FBI indictment for that exact game, and they cleared him because the NBA commissioner said there was insufficient evidence.
Ultimately concluded.
All right. So I'm just going to call it there because I think he said everything that needed to be said as far as where we are in society and where we are with sports betting and where we are in the economy. It just makes me think about all these things that are happening right now. It's like when Charles Schwab, whatever his name is, can't think of it right now, but he said it a few years ago, right before the pandemic, that you will own nothing and like it. And I think this is part of that plan. Like, the sports betting and then all in the economy and with the AI taking over all these people's jobs. And then they're talking about UBI, universal basic income. Yeah, it's a lot. But it starts with this kind of stuff. Like literally giving these companies your own money because these games are rigged. Okay. He was just talking about the NBA's rigged. I said literally over the weekend, you had a fight in MMA and UFC that was literally rigged. They came out and figured out, cut the guy within the next day. Caesars Sports Hill and Caesars book or William Hill and Caesars Sports Book were like offering people their money back. So we're in a real slippery slope with this stuff, man. And I think this is only the tip of the iceberg. Like I think within the coming years, as long as this stuff's legal and there's no ramifications, there's no changes made, there's no alterations made as far as maybe the laws or as far as like prop bets or something like that, this stuff's going to get nasty and out of hand. And it's just going to make it almost impossible for you as a bettor, just to play some juice, just to place like a little wager. Because you're just like, it's all rigged. Who cares? Football's rigged, NBA's rigged, combat sports is all rigged, NHL, MLB, it's all rigged, man. Because at the end of the day, it's all dollars. And there's promotional millions and millions and upon billions of dollars in promotional money that's going through all these different sports organizations. You don't think that there's benefactors out there or that there are influencers out there or even the organizations themselves are trying to put themselves in a different position within the next 5 years to make more money, to get more fans, to get more people coming in the door paying for tickets. That's where the money's at. That's what these people get into this business for. It's not about the competition, about the competitiveness, about their team's league. It's really about the money. There's so much money that you can make just in sports alone that, people will turn a blind eye here or there for certain things. So, like I said, we're in a slippery slope. It's a crazy time in America. What a time to be alive, right? You'll own nothing and like it. I love that. Hey, I'm on the road, man. I'm making it. I'm really pushing it this year. I really appreciate anybody who's watching my videos. I'm trying to do different type of engaging content. I'm trying to get some different stuff out there. I'm trying to do it more frequently as well. So any support is appreciated. If you're watching this video, please hit that like, subscribe. I'm going to get better. These videos will come at you much quicker. So yeah, much more is in tune. So please stay tuned because much more is to come, I should have said. Anyway, still working on things here, but I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate it. All love. Deuces.